Hey, Mark Sconti reporting. Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever you are. So here, I got a special guest for you today. You're gonna love this guy. This is Eric Rassi. Eric Rassi standing by. He's the guy that partially organized the rallies here in New York City. All right, and we're gonna find out what his take is on it and all that stuff. Right. So how you doing? What's up, Eric?
I'm all right.
Yeah, Eric. So yesterday you had the rally here. You got the media was here, and so the turnout wasn't as big, but it was expected rain, right?
Yeah. So some people might not have come because of the rain. Not sure, but there was quite a lot of people here from different groups. It seemed like they were from upstate. They seemed to be a lot of Trump people were here, carrying American flags and everything. And what you may not know is that the communists were here too. Some of the RCP people, or World Can't Wait or something like that, actually protesting the other people. So they were protesting end the lockdown, so I guess they meant to say you need to stay in your house. I'm not sure exactly what they were trying to say, but they just don't like Trump, I guess.
I see those people all over the place. The one with the orange banners, anti-Trump, lock him up. Down with Pence, those people, right? They're all over the place.
Right. I think they're concentrating a little bit too much on Trump, and not quite enough on the Democrats and the whole,
All right. So yesterday there was two rallies in the country that got some noteworthiness, some news. L.A., Sacramento, California, they got like 1,000 people, 32 arrests. Here in New York, in Albany, maybe 100 people. Down here, 25, 30 people.
Yeah.
What was the overall message? What are you trying to get through about this lockdown? Is it anti-lockdown? Is that the point of the whole thing, to stop the lockdown, COVID-19 farce?
Well, the lockdown is extremely detrimental to this country. Extremely detrimental. There's never been anything like it. All these people being thrown out of work. Businesses are being closed. They may not reopen. How are they going to reopen? People are running up gigantic rent bills. And of course the mayor has not promised to get rid of the rent bills. He's just letting them build up, claiming that, there's a lot of problems going on right now with these lockdowns. I don't believe they should have ever occurred because I think they had enough information to realize that it could have been contained in another way. On the other hand, you could say you couldn't blame them for erring on the side of caution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could have erred on the side of caution. Now the evidence is in that 40% of the people that have been tested for antibodies have already recovered in New York State.
Right.
And we saw that on the medical team.
Erickson? Dr.
Erickson, yeah. He was just quoting the CDC statistics.
Right.
So you know that there's a general immunity already developing, and I believe that we need to allow that to continue to develop. Probably if they didn't do the lockdown, we would have went through the whole thing already.
Dr. Erickson also said that the studies in Norway and Sweden, I think it was, where one had a lockdown, one didn't, and the results of the pandemic were identical in terms of death rate.
Yeah, they didn't do any good by locking people down in Norway. Okay, that's pretty clear. And so, I mean, it's time that the mayor pays some attention to the statistics, the medical evidence, and starts to unwrap the whole thing. What's the problem?
Have you seen in your travels any scientific reason, any scientific evidence at this point that suggests people should stay 6 feet away from each other and stay in their homes and stay home and not interact with people?
If you believe that general immunity has to develop like they did in Sweden.
Herd immunity, they call it, right?
They call it herd immunity. I don't like using the word herd. It sounds like a bunch of cows or something, or sheep, maybe. Is there a herd of sheep? I think so. But general immunity for people is what is necessary because almost everybody comes through this with flying colors, okay? They have never isolated healthy people. Isn't that one of the things that Eric?
It's a new It's an experiment. This is an experiment that people being isolated and 6 feet away from each other is the real experiment. Never tried before.
Remember what Mike Pompeo said Oh, we're in the middle of a live exercise. We're in the middle of a live exercise. Remember, he blurted that out, in the middle of a live exercise. I think that's very interesting what he said, because it is, I believe
He said about working for the CIA, he said that his job was to lie, cheat, and steal. He's on record saying that on a video.
Right, he's just doing his job. He's in the middle of a live exercise. They know that it's an experiment, just like you said. That's what it is. It's an experiment with a new form of government in the age of pandemics. The age of pandemics, they actually use that terminology in some of the Harvard papers sponsored by the Gates Foundation. There's a whole new system of, I don't know what you would call it, control, medical nanochipping, all of this. There's a big agenda that certain people are trying to push into the public, and they have them scared. They've got the public really scared. Okay, I talked to a girl yesterday that said that her friends they're afraid to go out and get on the train. They think they're going to somehow injure someone else by coming around them. They've been media manipulated to the point where they're scared of everything. Now in Sweden, there's nothing. They didn't close down the bars, the restaurants. They didn't do anything, and they're getting the same result. So, isn't it time that we start to discuss this at some of these press conferences with these?
You're not allowed to discuss it. Instead, on YouTube, they took down the Dr. Erickson video. They took down, had 500,000 hits. All the videos, mine for example, I did a video about that video, and that got knocked off YouTube too.
So they took your video?
Yeah, they took my video down. I reposted it on BitChute, but they took it down.
Oh yeah. This censorship is new to America. It's never been here before. Where did it come from? I'll tell you where it came from. Russiagate. Once they started with Russiagate, and they brought Zuckerberg into a congressional hearing, there were two cops on either side of him leading him down the hallway. It was a big picture on the front page of the Times, right? He was he was under arrest, right? Now they wanted to make sure that Zuckerberg started following orders and taking down videos on Russia, but Russia was just the nose under the camel's tent. Now they've got full-blown censorship of anything that they don't want the public to hear, like the medical facts that Dr. Erickson was presenting. They don't want the public to hear that. You're living in a post-American society, really.
Well, the other doctor, you remember Dr. Seidel? He's the doctor who talked about the intubation, the ventilation was actually killing people. He was brave enough to say, when we intubate people, their blood oxygen goes down, not up, and they keep doing it.
It was horrible. Well, aren't they changing? I think they're changing some of those procedures now. I hope so.
Yeah. You know how many people they must have killed just in the false. Yeah, I mean, look, Dr. Erickson. I think we're all hopping on what he said, and he said millions of cases, small amount of death. Millions of cases, small amount of death. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this rally. So yesterday, it was, how many cops did you count in the park?
Oh, there seemed to be 50 cops maybe. It could have been 40, 50 cops.
Were they being nice or they rude as hell?
They were fine. You know, I stayed in the park. I was the last one out. They were about to arrest me, but I decided not to take the arrest because I didn't want my banner to be confiscated. So
throw in the garbage.
Yeah, so they just let me walk out. They were fine.
So the Post reported no arrests, no summonses. Did they give you a reason other than, I heard through the loudspeaker they said by orders of Mario Cuomo? Did they tell you anything else?
Andrew Cuomo, the governor. Yeah,
governor.
Orders of the governor. Yeah, gatherings. I forgot. You actually had the exact quote last time.
Yeah, I took it out of the Post. I heard it too.
Yeah. So, well, we don't believe that they have the right to do that. We don't think that the governor has the right to suspend the U.S. Constitution. I think they can tell you medically. I don't think that you can oppose the 6-foot spacing if that's what the governor is saying. But he cannot ban all gatherings legally.
And the fact that there was only 20 people, that's not even. You don't even need a permit for less than 20 people.
Right. They ban all gatherings of any size. That's just absurd. So they're really just following illegal orders. I'm not worried about it. I mean, they can do whatever they want. We just have to keep on organizing people, not necessarily to come out and start doing, confrontations with the police department, right, but to be able to get the information out as to what is the origins of the COVID-19 virus. I think that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah,
And,
to say the least.
and what they're using it for, the agenda that's being brought in worldwide, a big worldwide agenda. That is something that needs to be discussed. So the more we get the public involved in the discussion around the people that are creating a totalitarian society, or building it all around them, and it's been going on for years, with the National Defense Authorization Act, in which Americans can be arrested on no charge, held indefinitely. All of that legal structure is already there. They've been building that up for years. So
They reinstated the Patriot Act.
all of those things that have been building up for years, they have the entire legal structure in order to create a complete and total totalitarian society that I guess just in case something goes wrong, they can just lock everybody down. Now they have the experience with the lockdown. The experience with the lockdown was called a live exercise, the middle of a live exercise. So I think that
People, you notice as well that people are defending it too. They're proud of it. They're walking around proud of it. They're like, I've been having arguments with people over this 4 feet and 6 feet bullshit, and that's the vibe in New York. Most people bought the false narrative, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here?
The asymptomatic transmission, which I don't think anybody has proven at all. Where do we go from here? We're going to have to keep on organizing. The political parties that are in power need to be removed from power. I think they are a mortal threat to humanity. I don't think there's any time left to allow these people to continue in office. They're following orders from higher ups in what we call the world state. The 21st of January, there was a meeting in Davos, Switzerland, of the World Economic Forum. And what we've heard now is that it was at that meeting on the 21st of January that it was decided to do a worldwide lockdown. Even before any of this was escaping from China, before any of that happened, that decision was made. Those people are always aware of things from intelligence agencies, information coming from all over the world, and they would have known. They would have known what was occurring because this was already known to intelligence agencies back in November. The U.S. was monitoring China, claiming there was going to be a big outbreak in China. So all the World Economic Forum people knew exactly what was coming. They knew it, and I believe they were consulted.
At the event 201, event 201.
That took place in October, which is another story. But the World Economic Forum knew what was coming, and a decision was made to go forward with the worldwide lockdown, not by medical people, but by the financial top oligarchs of the planet. They're doing it for another reason. It's not for the virus.
It's also, if you recall, the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership idea was under Obama was to create a global economy that has its own courts, has its own jurisdiction over the U.S. government, right? And it kind of plays into that. Where they failed with TPP, they seem to be advancing, especially with Bill Gates and all, and his big mouth. They do seem to be advancing a kind of a global agenda on top of this thing.
Yeah, overriding the nation state and
The Constitution.
They're overriding everything. You can make a law in one country, and it could simply be overridden by unaccountable international courts.
Right. That was the principle behind the TPP, that they would have a tribunal outside of U.S. courts and circumvent the U.S. courts.
Their entire system involves 80% of the people in the world are considered to be outside of the world economy, not needed. 80% of people will not be participating in the world economy. That decision, or that idea, was accepted 20 years ago at a conference in San Francisco. It's in a book called Global Trap by two German journalists. The San Francisco conference projected that only 20% of the people in the world are going to be needed for the world economy. They won't be needed for production, and they won't be needed to buy things either. So we're going to have to do something with 80% of the people. That's the basis on which all of this type of thing is going forward. What?
event today.
Oh, the event. Okay. Well, this is it. You know, so I think the main event was yesterday. This was more like a rain date.
I think we're going to do every Saturday from now on until the city opens.
Yeah, we want to do it every Saturday for sure.
should.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I'm here. But,
Okay, great.
well, I'll come next Saturday.
That'd be
And
great.
I'm going to bring some people with me too.
Do I have your phone number?
Yeah, I gave it to you yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, right. You're Yvonne, right?
Yeah.
Yvonne, okay.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, so you'll call me and let me know what's going on.
Yeah, we're going to get in touch with you and in the next 2 days, I want to project to more people to come next Saturday.
Yeah, so we can have like a better turnout.
Yeah.
Like what California
Yeah,
has.
and also, we're not going to gather in one place. We're going to do a moving picket.
Good idea.
Moving pickets, okay? And we'll see whether we can get some people,
Yeah,
rolling
we
on
were
that.
bullied yesterday.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Aaron.
All right,
Take
thanks a
care.
lot.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
So here we are. We're almost. So you're trying to make this basically a regular thing. If we could do this once a week, once a month, right, and get people out. Now, I speculate, right? Wouldn't a bank freeze be a better idea? To organize people to do a bank freeze, maybe default on their credit cards, run on the mortgages, some shit like that, right? To
Well,
sink the oligarchs.
they want to do a rent strike.
Rent strike,
I think that's a good idea because who's going to be able to pay?
student loan strike.
If the state government made it impossible for people to earn a living by closing down the economy, and yet they're running up a rent bill, we say cancel the rents, cancel them from the date that the lockdown was imposed. Okay, and it's going to be a few months before things can get back up and rolling if they ever do.
Yeah.
So we need to cancel the rents, and since they're unwilling to do that,
A lot of the large landowners, they got their mortgage bailout, but regular people got 3 months rent that they can't pay.
You know what De Blasio said? I heard that he can't do that because the landlords have expenses that they have to pay. And so we're saying to you, Bill De Blasio, suspend all mortgage payments for small owners. Suspend the mortgage payments, and you can solve the problem on both ends. But people renting apartments and the people who own the buildings that can all be under freeze. Get rid of the whole thing. You can't have people being evicted from their apartments in 2 months. That's not going to be anything that can be accepted. So, we have to get rid of this whole idea.
There's this notion that in New York, you drive around. I'm on a bicycle. I'm pedaling around. You're walking around. We're walking around, and we see everything is closed. And there's this notion that everything is just going to snap back into place. Everything is just going to. They're just going to throw a switch, and all the businesses are going to just. Everything is going to come back, and it's going to be normal again. You believe that?
I'll tell you what the plan is. It's an 18-month process. It's been planned that the virus will come back in the fall. That's been said many times. And so they might do another lockdown in the fall. You never know what they're going to do. It's not. They're never planning to stop. This is the new normal. The social distancing, all that stuff. These are the kooky, totalitarian agents that are going to control society through nanochipping. They're going to know when you're taking a piss. Okay, that's the vital signs monitoring through the nanochipping, and all the rest of it. They could lock down at any time. They can launch another virus. They can launch another.
CIA just put out a story. Oh, we got another virus.
Oh,
Or
they
just
did?
what? No. I'm saying
Oh,
that's
they
what, that's
could,
that's
yeah.
it. Right.
They could, yeah, because definitely they launched this virus. This is not a natural virus.
So you think it's prolonged? This is the new normal. This is going to go on, and
Whatever they can get away with, okay, let's put it that way.
Right.
Whatever they can get away with, they'll get away with. If they can follow Plan A, they might have to go back to Plan B, but they'd rather do Plan A.
yeah, but Trump is going to drain the swamp. Don't we need him?
Well, I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for Trump, probably everything would be locked down permanently by now. He was the only one that came to say, end the lockdown. You didn't see any Democrats saying that, did you? No, Trump is a wingnut. He's off the reservation most of the time, right? Or part of the time. Only a short part of the time, actually.
Well, what about? Well, Joe Biden can save us, can he? Joe Biden's
Joe
going
Biden
to.
will be a total puppet. Joe Biden would be a complete puppet. He would have nothing to say about anything. So
Isn't it ridiculous to even suggest that Trump is going to fix everything and
yeah, he's proven that he likes to kick a little bit when they're dragging him around.
Yeah.
But he is not going to stand up to the powers that be. He won't. The only people that can do it are you and I
Right.
and or through organization. The only thing possible is organization.
Yeah.
Anybody digs what we're doing and what we're saying, NYS Liberty Coalition at Gmail. Okay? Send us an email and let's get some organization going. The only thing that can defeat these people is organizing into a body.
Power in numbers.
Power in organization, into a body, an incorporated body.
Do you think that Bernie Sanders had the right idea? You know, all things considered, he wanted to get money out of politics. He talked about universal health care. He talked about deleting student loans and free college at, city and state universities.
He absolutely had the right idea. No doubt about it.
Do you think that he was an extension of Occupy Wall Street? Because I certainly do. Do you think he was? His words were. I think Occupy Wall Street borrowed a lot of what Sanders had been saying for years and years. Do you agree with that assessment? Or?
No, I don't think Occupy listened to. Occupy. This was just it was the last real manifestation. Occupy Wall Street. It was a great movement. It did get smashed after a while, but it was the last time that was before they started infiltrating these online groups with their sock puppets and whatnot, which pretty much discombobulated the whole left. But Occupy was a great movement. I'm not sure some of these people even knew who Bernie Sanders was, but these are just obvious things that are objective realities. So Occupy is reacting to the realities around us, and Bernie is reacting to them also. Sorry about the Bernie campaign, but you can't rely on Bernie. Bernie is not necessary. What we need to do is see that we need everything. We need everything. We need to lower the rents back down to normal levels. We need to have an environment that has health care and things like that in it. So.
How about even change eliminate the Fed and go get rid of this fiat currency system, get back to maybe a gold standard or even Indian trading, a new economy, a new.
Absolutely. There are excellent economists who know exactly what to do. You look at Michael Hudson, people like that. Do you know who Michael Hudson is?
No.
There's a woman named Ellen Brown. There are people out there that know exactly what needs to be done.
But instead they listen to Paul Krugman and they listen to Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfein. And this is the shithole we get into.
Absolutely. So, you need to have a new economy. These people are running up bills. The same bankers that are running up the bills on Wall Street are writing themselves checks from the Federal Reserve. Okay, it's just a self-feeding mechanism. They run up a gigantic $6 trillion.
See now we're talking. Now we're talking, because that is the problem. That is the real gist of it. When you say, well, who's doing it, you don't have to look any further than the boardrooms of the 6 large banks: J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, fucking. Bank of America. Right?
They're getting away with murder.
Because
they're getting away with absolute murder. And now, after 2008, they should have all been bankrupted. They should have went out of business, but they weren't. They were allowed to continue doing exactly what they were doing before that, and it's creating a terrible. There could be a gigantic economic implosion at any moment, which I think that. What they've done is they've put themselves in a position where they can blame it on the virus has caused this economic implosion, where it's not the virus, it's them. Okay, and there's a lot to talk about on all that, but I don't think we have time to do that.
Hey, good talking to you, Eric. So we're here with Eric Rassi, and one more time, if people want to get in touch with you or want to get involved in coming down here and rallying and such. How would they do it one more time?
Yeah, NYS Liberty Coalition at Gmail. Just send us an email and we'll put you on a list and contact everybody.
All right, thanks so much. Thank you so much, Eric. Peace out, man.